Hey all, a short but fun one today. Bev from GB News contacted me last week, and apparently the NHS is being asked to switch all the food to vegan food. And what's the scientific story around that? So I ended up actually on the show on GB News, and it was actually kind of a little debate in the end because they had a nutritionist from the Vegan Society. So I think it was really fun. I think it was very informative for anyone watching. So here it is for you to enjoy.
Welcome back. Now, should the NHS go vegan to save the planet? We are joined by biochemical engineer and meat advocate Ivor and dietitian for the Vegan Society, Emily McKee. Good morning to you both. Emily, let's start with you if we can. Why should the NHS feed poorly people vegan food?
Hi, so thank you for having me. We know from the research that we've had recently that there's a real role for plant-based diets, and particularly whole food plant-based diets, in preventative healthcare, particularly reducing the incidences of cardiovascular disease and diabetes. There's been some research by the Office of Health Economics recently, alongside the Vegan Society, that's found that a transition to plant-based diets in the UK could save the NHS £60 billion per year, and that's due to the reduction in those chronic diseases that are often associated with diet.
Okay, Ivor Cummins, why is that wrong?
Well, yeah, Bev, essentially meat, fish and eggs are superfoods. It's well documented, the massive amount of nutrient density that's in them. And also Homo sapiens, no paleoanthropologist would ever deny this, evolved from the eating of meat. If you want to Google the expensive tissue hypothesis, it's clear as crystal. So meat, fish and eggs are fundamental to human health. They bring a massive amount of nutrients that you can't get as readily bioavailable in plant foods, though plant foods are okay. And if I had any illness, I'd make sure I was stocking up on those nutrient-dense Homo sapiens appropriate foods without question. The research mentioned there is associational. So associational research is the lowest bar on the research ladder. They're correlation, not causation, full of confounding. But when you look at the biomedical, when you look at the metabolic science, and you look at the real data, meat, fish and eggs are superfoods.
Emily, so this isn't based in scientific fact, this is just in this sort of ideology, this idea that wouldn't it be lovely for the planet if we all just ate plants?
Not at all. So it's very true that there is a hierarchy of scientific evidence, but what we do often find with nutritional evidence, obviously there's a lot of different factors that play into people's lives that, as has been mentioned, can kind of confound those results. But with studies, even if these are studies that are sort of associational, as you've said, so there may be cohort studies, they're looking at groups of people over time, there's still a lot of validity in that evidence, and particularly if there's a lot of studies that are pointing in the same direction, and we're finding that there's a strong and growing body of evidence to support the health benefits of plant-based diets, and particularly foods such as nuts and seeds, whole grains, which are associated with improvements in life expectancy and decreased rates of disease. So we're seeing a growing body of evidence, and it's actually the volume of evidence as well as the quantity supporting that.
Is it as simple as that, though, Ivor? Is it the fact that maybe people who are eating meat are eating a lot of processed meat, rubbish food, processed food full of sugars and unnecessary oils? Is that why these results come up in the types of surveys that Emily's talking about?
Yeah, one of the biggest scams is called the healthy user bias. So people who have listened to the advice of the last 50 years, the people who are health conscious, right, in every way, they tend to eat more of the foods they're told to eat. So you get a spurious signal. But the reality is, in the last 50 years, clear as crystal, red meat consumption per capita has gone down, while vegetable oils and other plant extracted foods essentially have gone through the roof. And we have an explosion of chronic disease. So you only need to glance at one graph like that, and the idea that we switch away from wholesome, nutrient-dense, Homo sapiens appropriate foods that we've eaten forever, right, and move over to new proposed foods, you can see that it's totally specious. It's kind of farcical.
Okay, all right, thank you both. Great to see you. Biochemical engineer Ivor Cummins and dietitian for the Vegan Society, Emily McKee.
Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that. And I do a lot of work, 6-7 days a week mostly, trying to get the correct messages out there, the correct research, getting as many shows as possible and release as much material as possible to awaken people generally to the lunacy that's going on in the world. So the legacy media, we've lost it. That's quite apparent. So we need to make every effort to awaken people and prevent the worst excesses of what some very bad outfits want for us and our children. So really appreciate your support. If you could jump in, links are down below. A little will help a lot. So thank you.